Aloha hoku ohana. Thank you guys so much for joining me here for your reading. What a powerful one you are, right? What powerful one you are. This reading is definitely going to be corresponding with that in a lot of ways. The message is that you're quantum leaping into a new version of yourself, and because of that, reality is going to be responding to this new frequency. I'm hearing messages in regards to get ready for expansive opportunities, get ready for expansive alignments, okay? And it's happening because you're expanding into new versions of yourself. And I'm hearing you're expanding way beyond the belief systems of yesterday. So it's like a waking up. I'm seeing being reborn and renewed in some way, and reality is now beginning to reallocate itself, which is interesting because the illusion is that we begin to reallocate ourselves. Reality is reallocating and reconfiguring itself to correspond with this new internal vibration and frequency that you're now emitting as you're moving into a higher octave. There's vibrational experiences and opportunities that are in alignment with this octave, okay? That's what I'm seeing. So there's new alignments, there's new world line collisions, and I was hearing it as a saga. So a saga is like a long or story of a heroic achievement. So this is a hero's journey for you. It's a dramatic yet often complicated story or series of events. So I'm hearing the way that you're going to describe what is about to happen in your life can only be attributed to divine orchestration, all right? So the difference between you and another version of self, right, existing in another parallel reality, is perhaps your belief systems and how that molds and shapes your reality. And your life is about to expand according to the courage that you're now going to be embodying, where you may still feel the fear, but you're choosing to face that fear. And it's leading to new expansive opportunities because you're expanding into new versions of self that would have been limited or repressed otherwise. And the difference between you and a very, very, highly expansive or expressive version of yourself in these alternate realities is going to be that one of you decided to face the fear, realizing that your full potential lied on the other side of doing that, and the other one decided to become overpowered by it, okay? So you don't arrive at a new timeline, instead a new timeline, I'm hearing, knocks at your door, right? So it's like a new timeline. It's like, whoa, welcome. So it's like 𝓲𝓻𝓪𝓷𝓼 𝓲𝓻𝓪𝓷𝓼, right? But yeah, it's a new timeline arrives at your door and it begins to collapse around you, all right? So yeah, you don't step into a new timeline, it takes shape around you as your frequency shifts, and the world isn't changing. Okay, it's like you're changing something within you, and reality is now just rearranging itself to match with what it is that you hold or the power that you've harnessed inside of yourself, okay? So there's what could have been laying dormant is the fact that you're infinite potential, and infinite potential begins to flow through you and pour into your external reality. I'm hearing begin to bleed into your external reality through you. And anything that was blocking the flow of life force being able to move through you, and how efficiently you were able to create in this third dimensional realm, were like crystallized thought forms or belief systems, right? A belief is just a thought that you keep thinking over and over again. And I'm hearing even something that has been rehearsed. I'm hearing like a rehearsed energy, so re-expressed or reinforced ancestrally. And you're now, I'm hearing, dissolving those thought forms, right? Those crystalline stagnant debris that have been lingering in your field and also within you. You're dissolving that in ways in which it was holding you back previously, and also holding back those who have come before, all right? And I'm definitely receiving a lot of messages in regards to your eyes are the window for your ancestors to see life through your experience, to see life through this new higher expression. And because of that, you're pulling forward your generational lineage through your own healing journey, which is to integrate with your divinity and not compartmentalize that. It's to recognize yourself as infinite potential and move according to your divine essence as you move through this existence. So if your energy is still resonating with, that fear or that self-doubt, then you won't really move forward. Instead, you'll keep cycling through these same versions of self, right? These same fractals that are existing in a state of paralysis, right? Maybe this is analysis paralysis I'm hearing for some of you, where you're just wearing different masks. Instead, you're loving yourself into this change, and you're realizing that it's in this internal acceptance that you begin to arrive at these new destinations. So these are now becoming available to you. I'm hearing these new resonant timelines are now becoming available to you because you're clearing out frequencies that were anchoring you to, I'm hearing the paradigm of struggling or the paradigm of survival. And instead, you're moving into a timeline, and a new time begins where consciousness arrives at this new destination where you're literally going to be stepping to a season of thriving, all right? So you're collapsing a new reality around you. And as you ascend into this high octave, again, you're flushing out those belief systems that could have been reinforced generationally that you're no longer carrying, that are no longer in resonance with your highest possible expression, right? There was almost like a contradiction that was happening there between the person that you want, right, to become and the life that you want to create for yourself, and also all of the inconsistencies in regards to what it is that you're actually actively embodying and the things that you're actively doing in your life. How can you bridge that gap, okay, between who it is that you are and who it is that you want to be? And I'm hearing you're realizing and recognizing and wanted to go places that you haven't gone before and become versions of yourself that you have not yet embodied or opened up to or expanded into. That's what they're showing me, expanding into. You have to be willing to do things that you haven't done before, right? You have to be willing to go places that you haven't gone before. And that's what they're showing me. I'm seeing like a belief system where it kind of keeps you, again, very, very contracted. And it's like one small part of the body. And then you're like expanding into your full multidimensionality. It's like you're expanding into your full expression. So maybe this is something that you've been repressed or suppressing in some way. But yes, it's very, very interesting. There's a new paradigm that you're now shifting into as you transcend an old one. And your external world is beginning to shift because of your internal patterns that have now gone through that realignment, okay? So you're clearing out the old in order to make space for new ways of being. And the energy that was coming through is, what if the very force that holds you down is also the key to setting you free? So the way you experience life, your struggles, your limitations, your breakthroughs, it depends entirely upon your perspective. And just like a falling man doesn't feel his own weight, you often don't recognize the invisible forces shaping your life. So this was like a scene in the season Genius where Nikola Tesla was in an elevator and the elevator was falling, but he began almost to have this anti-gravity effect where it was in him actually surrendering to that fall in what appeared to be him losing a certain aspect of control in his life, right? An aspect of familiarity, an aspect in all in which he's ever known himself to be, that he was able to step into all it is whom he's ever been, right? So just like the falling man doesn't feel his own weight, you don't recognize the invisible forces shaping your life, right? Maybe this is subconscious belief systems and you were not really aware in all the ways in which holding on to or functioning under certain belief systems had been keeping you limited to the same kind of timelines or the same kind of stories that were beginning to unfold in your life. It's not until we begin to step into a new dimension, right, a new frequency, where new stories can actually begin to play out in our life and unfold. So you're opening up a point of divergence there. And when you shift your perception, what once felt like resistance can become your greatest insight. And things almost feel like the hardest right now when you're on the verge of a breakthrough, because your setbacks have been preparing you for an acceleration. It's like you moving up the elevator at a very rapid, instant acceleration, where you feel like there's all this gravity, you feel like there's all this force. So it's a very, very interesting concept that in regards to maybe some of you have hit like that rock bottom to realize that the only way from there is to move upwards, right? Maybe you feel like you've gone through some kind of dark night of the soul and you're now moving through what used to be your ceiling is about to become your floor. But I'm seeing like the elevator going up very fast where you're literally going to be ascending through these different levels, these different octaves of yourself. So what if the setbacks were just preparing you for the acceleration? What if I'm hearing to begin to also surrender, right? To be able to surrender control. That's what it was teaching you, so that you can move forward, realizing that it's in that act of surrender, in that act of release, that the magic begins to happen. So what if the key to personal freedom is realizing that you were never stuck, right? If you can move as one with the ebbs and flows of life. The happiest thoughts in life come when we finally see the truth that we're not bound by anything. We're not bound by gravity. We are bound by belief. So what limiting beliefs are you breaking free from today? The elevator going up in the metaphysical realm represents a rise in status that you're moving towards, ambition, and also, moving towards a goal, all right? and this could be in your professional or personal life, but you're connected to this invisible network of consciousness where you're different branches of the same tree, and the decisions that you choose to make open up these branching universes or allow you to access these branching universes and these other timeline of events that you can now begin to experience the becoming of what has already came to be according to that specific vibrational frequency and the way that you're now functioning. So yeah, it's a super, super interesting energy, but you're harnessing some type of power that's changing your journey of life and the way in which you experience it, right? So let's go and see what this energy is. It's very interesting. I want to take a look at you quantum leaping into a new reality, basically, because you're quantum leaping into a new version of yourself. And this means that you're radically shifting something. We have void and ultraviolet. Ultraviolet talks about the things that are invisible, which deeply impact us. It also talks about higher bandwidths of frequency light. So I'm hearing the higher you go up the scale, the deeper it is embedded within your subconscious mind. So there could be something about there's something that has been deeply impacting you through invisible forces. Maybe this is things that nobody else can really see, right? I'm hearing no one else even really knows about but yourself. And then you have the void. So there's something about maybe deep fear in regards to the unknown. This talks about empty space in which we can now create of. And this is almost like the blank slate, right? It's like the blank canvas in which you get to paint yourself, you get to reinvent yourself, you get to reinvent your life. And then you have infinity here at the base, realizing that there is only ever the eternal now, and you are this infinite eternal life force that is experiencing itself through these, I'm hearing more bodies than one, right? More fractals than one. So it's a very, very interesting energy of that with the void and the ultraviolet. There's something in which you cannot see, but it's in the things that you cannot see that you can feel, that you are choosing to no longer feel, right? It's in the ways in which you're choosing to no longer feel that begin to open up new ways for you to feel, which is super interesting. Yeah, we have Pluto. This is I'm hearing irreversible change, but it's also an unavoidable change in your life. Okay, so there's some type of transformation that's happening within you. Now, this could be something that you're also, again, seeing from a higher level with sidereal space. It talks about you belonging or originating from the stars, right? Belonging to the planets or the stars. So it's almost like you're an outsider that's looking in, where the things that are about to happen in your life could definitely feel like an outer body experience, in the way where it feels like you're watching, I'm hearing the human journey unfold back into its infinite potential. So it's almost like you're witnessing the thoughts of the human, you're feeling them as well, these emotions, but also you're releasing them, right? It's like there's this constant ebb and flow and returning to all that you ever have been, which is infinite potential. And I'm seeing, again, you're recognizing that those belief systems do not belong to you, and it's in you being able to observe those belief systems and how they can determine the realities that you'll experience by functioning under those physical set of laws that you apply in yourself, that can either expand or shrink not just yourself but also your life. Okay, so it's a very, very interesting energy. We'll go ahead and talk about this. And today in my meditation in the mornings, I kept hearing 𝓬𝓪 as well, which is one of the dwarf planets, like 𝓬𝓪. So maybe we'll see if there's an additional message, but she's in the Pluto deck, so that makes sense. So again, this is something that you're almost receiving like a judgment call in regards to. It starts as a small voice, but this is like an unavoidable transformation or change. And change is inevitable. It's whether you want to surrender to that change. It's in you kind of resisting the change that, actually begins to hurt. So let's go ahead and take a look at Pluto. Unavoidable transformation, the poetic legend. Once upon a time, a planet named Pluto was once part of our solar system. The Pluto belonged to our family for many years. One day, the laws keeping Pluto as one of us changed, but who was in charge? What laws? How did it happen? We could debate this for hours. There were some who considered it a planet, others who did not. The silver lining of this story is that Pluto soon found its new tribe. Without much need for recognition, 𝓮𝓮𝓪𝓬𝓪, and many other planets were always there among the so-called dwarf planets to welcome him home. If you don't belong, don't belong. So I feel like for you, there is something around maybe, again, reinforcing old ways of being for so long, to the point where you're now stepping into a version of yourself, and that's what a quantum leap is. You haven't quantum leaped within yourself unless you kind of no longer recognize an old version of self. It's where you go through that baptism and you look back at an old version or old fractal of yourself, and you realize that you've moved so far beyond what it is that you previously known yourself to be. And you're stepping into a new way of being. Okay, that's what I'm seeing. And that's what the awakening is to remember yourself as infinite potential and discard all whom you are not, right? Anything that has been blocking you from really being able to surrender and just let go and be one with the change, instead of worrying about how you're going to be perceived as you undergo these changes. And poetic legend with Pluto tells you to embrace that heroic journey, right? Embrace the hero's journey, embrace the fool's journey, because he does go at it alone, right? So there's that type of energy there with Pluto as well. So you could be going through a death and rebirth, right? This is like a renewal process. It also is the phoenix rising from the ashes moment. So it's in you kind of losing yourself, where in the middle of it all you kind of find your true self. That's what it is. You could be definitely questioning, and this is all the ways in which you've held yourself back as well. But you're no longer in resonance with an old paradigm, old systems, maybe even others that you had attracted based upon those subconscious wounds. It's like you're now becoming conscious of the subconscious, and you're beginning to consciously guide your life in a complete different trajectory. You know, that's the energy that's coming through as well. Right, apparently we're going to get one of these messages with this Starseed Oracle deck. Let's see. So we have portal, doors are opening, you decide, rewards, wild card. So again, doors are opening, right? This is like a wild card energy. And then you have child of the cosmos, the intelligence of the universe lies within you. So there is some type of high risk, high rewards type of situation where you're gonna bet on yourself, right? There's something about never kind of giving up on yourself and being able to bet on yourself in the ways that you were not really able to do for yourself. It's like you're showing up for yourself in ways that you weren't able to do before. That's what it is. We also have get grounded, empaths, highly sensitive, connect with nature. So yeah, there's a lot that you're definitely going to be reflecting, but your emotions also store information, and they hold a lot of information for you. Okay, in regards to the wounds in which you are now integrating, which is to heal and become whole with those wounds and have those unconscious parts of yourself become conscious, because it's until the conscious mind becomes conscious of it's until the unconscious becomes conscious that we begin to actually transform our lives in a way that is, you know, very co-creative, instead of the unconscious guiding our life and us just calling it fate, you know. And then we have play here at the base. So there could be something about really focus on how you can anchor into this gameplay experience and begin to play in this creation, right? Being able to create in this creation, which is super, super interesting as well. And this could be a portal of discovery in regards to what it is that you want to do, right? The things that you want to be able to experience. There is some kind of portal of discovery in which you're being presented with during this time. Okay, let's see. All right, let's get a star child message. Why not? Okay, we have shine your light. So it is time to shine your light and step into the world, right? This is also, again, like your light is going to be emanating, and I'm hearing mirroring a different way of being to others. So it's like you're no longer reflecting the wounds back of others, or where they've also held themselves back in some way. You're here mirroring to others what it is that they lack within themselves. You're holding and embodying in abundance what they may lack within themselves, and that is the knowing that they are infinite potential, and for them to return back to that innate knowing, right? There's something around that, and there can be a huge trigger that can occur when that happens, especially with Pluto. I'm hearing, like, again, some of them, they didn't want to accept Pluto as being one of their own, because Pluto did something that a lot of them would have felt like completely went against the status quo. Pluto went to the edge of the solar system, you know, was on the edge of another universe, and there's like other universal principles that you're kind of grounding into this experience. There's other ways of navigating this universe that you're opening up to, which is super interesting. And Pluto is to do with the psyche too, so this is where your infinite potential meets matter, right? This is where your spirit meets the physical vessel, and there's that intersection that happens within the psyche. So yeah, there could be a different psychological process in which you're going through. Again, this could be like occult studies with Pluto energy, you know, mysticism. There's something that is kind of unknown that you're tuning into that is maybe invisible to others, but it's speaking volumes about your character and your energy and the things that you're going on to do. Something that's happening kind of investigative behind the scenes. With Shine Your Light though, it's allowing you to show up in very obvious ways. It's like people can tell that something is different about you, but they can't really tell tell what that is. And I'm hearing, like, again, with the trigger energy, it just reveals a place within others in which is not yet free. So there could be something about the betrayal to the true self, right? To the infinite potential in the soul that wants to express its full light in this realm, due to the belief systems that are covering and shielding that light, right? Which is only a shell of whom they really are. So yeah, maybe this is about the trauma or the fear of showing that light, right? And you're here to kind of embody a different way of being, and how great the world could be if you kind of surrender to that key. You know, that's the energy that's given me, and that's the key to your freedom, right? The key of life, which is the blending and merging of the divine masculine, divine feminine archetypes. That is to be your own counterpart. That is to step into a period of conscious creation where you're listening to those intuitive messages, right? Your intuition, you're gently guiding yourself towards your chosen destination on an internal level, but then you're also supporting that calling with your action in the physical realm, and that creates third dimensional creations, right? That creates the baby, that creates the triad, that is creation. That's how you create. It's by supporting the soul's calling and not suppressing that calling. So yeah, you're definitely here to be a mirror. And then we have angelic ones here at the base too, so you're definitely seen as an earth angel of some kind. I'm hearing, again, you can hold space for others in a way that they may not be able to fully do for themselves right now. You can accept others and love others and extend that unconditional love, whether they choose to or not act upon those intuitive callings. It's like you can see those inconsistencies that are happening, or where others are in that internal war within themselves, and you can hold space for them, right? You can love them whether they choose to change or not, whether they're going to change, but whether they resist the change within them or not. Or you can, instead of shaming them into change, which is super beautiful. It reminds me of the reading that we did around who are you, clearly an earth angel, because you leave everyone with a taste of heaven. So I'll leave that reading down below. But this is like a light that you emanate. It's this unconditional light and love that you emanate, right? Where there's no judgment there. There's just a lens of discernment. And all a lens of discernment is really being able to discern what plane of consciousness an individual is operating on, and being able to facilitate them with what it is that they need at that stage in their evolutionary journey. So there's something about you being able to actually say what it is that others need to hear at that stage. So you could be a messenger of some kind. This is completely I don't even remember what the reading was even about at this point, but some of you could definitely be stepping into a season of like exploring all the ways in which you can be of service, and all the different ways in which you can be of service. So there's something around this is definitely deeply tied to your pre-incarnation intentions. Now you have No Place Like Home, which talks about authenticity and being at a place where you can feel comfortable in your own skin. So again, if there's something around, if you don't belong, right? It's like you're not expecting everyone to understand you. But I'm hearing, even though you can understand others, which is like a paradox, because you've gone through what people are currently going through, and I feel like you can observe that, right? Where they're beginning to question themselves or question this reality, or there's something around that, like you've gone through, but you don't look like what it is that you've been through, which is an interesting energy. Healer of the ages. Yeah, a lot of whoever I'm talking to, you're a healer. All right, this talks about an also powerful entity that's been with you and has been making itself known in your energetic presence. This is Christ consciousness, right? Where you're no longer merely interacting with this matrix. You're an outsider that's looking in. You have this higher level of understanding, and you're applying that higher level of consciousness, anchoring that truth into your being, and you're dispersing that truth to others. So I definitely get a strong messenger energy, which is super interesting. You're showing that to others with attachments, right? Which is super, wow. Yeah, Healer of the Ages is Christ consciousness energy, so it's infinite potential that has become conscious of itself, right? It's awareness that has become conscious awareness. So you can see yourself in others in the way in which they could be holding themselves back currently, in ways that you used to hold yourself back. So you've definitely gone through a lot of internal, I'm hearing introspection, which has led to new external explorations, okay? Yeah, so you're definitely a healer, and you make people feel comfortable in their own skin, which is super interesting, despite where they are. Every soul or organism in wherever they are in their state of evolution, like you can facilitate or say whatever they need to hear at that stage. Yeah, but you act as a bridge. There's something about you act as a bridge or a messenger to remind them of the divinity that is within. But yeah, I'm hearing like the exothermic reaction. So you pass light or heat to your external surroundings as well, which means that you infuse or awaken something within others, you know? You remind them of what is possible. You're only mirroring what is already within them. And what is triggering is that they know that on a deep level, even if that's subconsciously. But it takes them releasing all that they've ever known in order to allow that side of themselves to kind of come out, you know? So we have Dragon's Hoard, protecting the future. Very interesting. This card basically talks about there's some kind of jewels that you are discovering and you're not keeping them just for yourself. Again, there's some type of beautiful, valuable jewels of information, like pearls of wisdom, in which you're sharing with the world here in some way. And this talks about a mission or quest that has been reserved for you since the beginning of time, and you're just coming back into alignment with that. Okay, so it's a beautiful energy. We have Divine Matrix here, which was not meant to be in this card, or was it? So again, there's something about pearls of wisdom and us existing in a very intelligent, self-organizing universe where you're brought into synchronistic meetings, synchronistic encounters. I'm hearing you're a synchronicity for others in some way. Okay, you serve that purpose or you play that role of some kind, you know? That's definitely the vibe that it gives me with good instances. It can only be explained as divine or intervention. You know what? How I open this reading is almost the way that you impact others as well. This is like a mirror of some kind. It's very interesting. Because it's almost like the way that I was describing what it is that you're going through is things that you're going to also be observing going on within others. But yeah, that could be the cyclical spherical model that is time, where you're able to recognize almost old aspects of yourself within others. So yeah, it's super interesting. Wow. Okay. Yeah, there's a quest that you're taking on that has been reserved for you since the beginning of time. Right, let's go ahead and take a look at the Gateway of Light activation, see what energy is around you. Thoth, light codes, very interesting. This talks about light initiation, great teacher, awakening, and divine magic. So yeah, you could be streamlining certain information, right? Power recall there at the base. Let's go ahead and take a look at Thoth, light codes. So again, Priest King of Atlantis. You are blessed to connect with Thoth, okay? Very, very interesting energy. You are going through a powerful set of light initiations at this time, and these are prepping you to lead and teach from a powerful space of love. Okay, so again, unconditional love. Love is the absence of judgment, but unconditional love is to be able to accept others unconditionally, no matter where they are at that stage in their journey, right? There's a difference between judgment and discernment in the way where judging is to separate yourself from another. Discernment is to recognize yourself in another and different fractals of yourself that you are also existing in that are still playing out within the other, right? This is about times where you were unconscious, right? Where you were awareness before you became conscious awareness of yourself once again. So you can see that mirror that you've healed within yourself because you've learned to hold space for that within yourself, right? Maybe this was about your inability to be able to surrender to all that ever has been. And because of that, you can now hold space for others, right? A healer is someone that holds space to assist in integration. The only way that you can do that is if you first learn to do that within yourself. So you are a healer, or you've unlocked, we're all healers, but you've unlocked that ability. So in order to complete the process, there will be a release of old ideas and limiting stories. But this is necessary for you to connect with your true power within. So a lot of you are going to be stepping into this next position of power, right? This next octave. You're going to be learning to hold space in a way that is even with an even greater contrast. The more neutrality you learn to obtain and cultivate within yourself, right? Neutral observation, which is to observe from that 0 point. The more contrast you're going to experience in this realm, because it teaches you about holding neutrality, no matter how deep those shadows may be, right? No matter how much contrast is going on around you, you can still maintain that 0 point and that inner still sanctuary and that internal state of harmony. If you have internal harmony within all aspects of yourself, you will be able to hold space and restore balance within the oppositions. So don't be concerned by the intensity of the energies that surround you now. Facing shadow parts of yourself and your story is essential for connecting with divine magic and evolved beings of light, and they're there to lead the way. If you have any concerns or fears at this time, know that when fear gets loud, it's because you're on the cusp of something extremely powerful. So again, there is like a huge awakening that's going to be happening within you, right? Huge awakening. You're stepping into some kind of next position of, yeah, it definitely gives me a position of some kind of leadership, some kind of example though that you're embodying. Let's go ahead and take a look at you. Who are you? Who are you? Justice. You are somebody that observes neutrally, right? These scales are in balance. Libra is a great observer. And then you have Temperance. You're an earth angel that observes and holds space. That's who you are. You hold space for the conscious and the unconscious. The sun and the moon. For all celestial light bodies. And Libra is great at facilitating as well. Libra archetypes are really great at understanding what cause they need to take, right? What action they need to take. And also where their non-action is also an action. So it's not just about the things you say, it's also about the things that you don't say. It's not about the looks that you give, it's also about the looks that you don't. Definitely watch that reading down below. I'll link it. Who are you? You must be an earth angel because you leave everyone with a taste of heaven. We're talking about this same energy. Let's clarify. And a mirror. Remember, Libra is a mirror. 7th house. You're a mirror. You remind others of the light that exists within them. The light that you see within me is also the light within you. 9 of Coins. Sovereignty, right? Independence. I'm hearing have signed some type of contract to step into being a sovereign creating your experience, and it's in your own sovereignty of being able to learn about yourself and all aspects of yourself that you're able to mirror that to others. But yeah, extremely self-sufficient. Extremely self-sufficient here. This is somebody that's been on their own journey with the 9 of Coins energy. They've had to start back from basics. They've had to wipe the slate clean in some aspect of their life. They have had to get used to some type of new normal, right? 2 of Pentacles. It led to a level up. Maybe something that they felt like they had to keep to themselves in some way with 4 of Coins. They were yearning for something more in their life and they went after more. They had to make decisions that weren't instantly gratifying, but their future self thanked them for it, right? You've mastered some kind of talent, gift, skill, or ability. There's some kind of mastery that you've had over yourself on your own sovereign journey that now allows you to reflect that to others. Reflect what is possible to others. So yeah, you serve as a very, very powerful archetype here. All right, guys, I'm going to love and leave you right there. If you're not already subscribed to this channel, do consider subscribing. I'd love to have you around. Personal reading details also down below. I'm kind of just really curious, though. Let me just get one more message. I would just want to see how, like, what others wish that they could say to you. It might be useful. 7 of Cups. Ace of Swords. You give others clarity. It's through some kind of communication that you hold. You give others clarity that they circle back to, right? With that Fibonacci fractal sequence. This also talks about, again, like a self-organizing system. So it's like you end up again, God instances, being in alignment with somebody and telling them exactly what they need to hear at that stage in their journey, not a moment sooner or not a moment later, especially when they're kind of, their emotions may be clouded. I'm hearing you say something that speaks to them on a soul level, okay? It speaks to the, I'm hearing the voice within, okay? Seven of Cups. It's also Venus and Scorpio too, so it could be where they've been kind of wired. Venus and Scorpio is kind of like biochemical addictions as well, right? Like reinforcing those same systems or habits or cycles, where you kind of help say something to somebody to help them snap out of that, and to say that you are greater than the body, you are greater than the mind, right? We have the Strength, we have the Two of Wands, and we have the Five of Cups. You help them see the cup as half full instead of half empty. There is a redirection that awaits them, but it requires them to divert their attention away from what they were previously giving to you and start giving to anew. No longer hold back, and instead step into their fullest expression of self. And that requires an act of courage. And again, we have the Queen of Swords here. So again, discerning. She says less than necessary. She knows usually a lot more than what it is that she lets on. She knows other people can only really meet her as far as they've met themselves. So she kind of is able to say what others are going to understand at the level in which they've met themselves. So I'm going to love and leave you guys right there. If you're not already subscribed to this channel, do consider subscribing. I'd love to have you around. Personal reading details also down below. If you want to join our Discord server, that's also going to be down below. And if you want to take a look at some beautiful jewelry, take a look at the discount code that we have for Otter Spirit bracelets as well. I have kunzite, moonstone, and rainbow moonstone on today. So yes, I will speak to you guys very, very soon. Until next time, bye.